Hey there, Merry Christmas from Paul Mack. I just wanted to take this time to have a little Christmas fireside chat, kind of like we did last year. And this is my time to wish all of you, my viewers, a very Merry Christmas and to thank you for all you've meant to me, and also to tell you about some of the things that have been happening to me and my family this past year. So sit down a while, get your coffee, hot chocolate, whatever you want to drink, and I've got my coffee here in my old Star Trek mug. I used this last year. Of course, this year it's kind of messed up. You know, you're not supposed to put these things in the dishwasher. And one morning I came down and there it was all messed up, and I thought, she did it again. She put my Star Trek, we already had one of these and it got ruined in the dishwasher, and then another one came, brand new one was given to me, and I thought, my wife has put it in the dishwasher again. And then I got to thinking a little later, wait a minute, I put the dirty dishes in that day and I wasn't thinking. I just threw this thing in the dishwasher. And now look, you know, when you put a hot beverage in it, the crew of the Enterprise beams down to the planet here, you know. And now Spock kind of has, actually it fixed Spock's ears. They were pointed and now they're kind of normal. So I guess it wasn't that bad. Anyway, you can still drink out of it. It doesn't matter. So, Merry Christmas. What have y'all been doing? Getting ready for Christmas, I suppose. We have around here. Got our tree decorated. I've got the workshop decorated just for you. So I thought I would start off by mentioning some milestones for the Farmhands Companion channel. You know, let me think here. I'm not good with dates and math. I think it was September of 2012 that the Farmhands Companion channel first went live with the very first episode. So that is, let's see, I'm entering my 14th year. Is that right? You do the math. I think it's my 14th year, but the Farmhands Companion channel is, as of today, poised and ready to cross a brand new milestone. In fact, with just about a little over 1,000 more subscribers to the channel, we will be crossing the 100,000 subscriber mark. And I'm really excited about that. And I have all of you to thank for that. All of my viewers, all of you who have been so faithful to watch over the years and subscribe to the channel. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you subscribing and watching all the videos. You know, it's one thing for somebody to watch one of your videos if you put it up for the world to see. But so many of you are so faithful, and I hear from several of you in the comments. Some of you comment with every single video, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. You watching and you commenting and just supporting the show, buying some of my books, and everything that you do for me and my family is sincerely appreciated. So I wanted to start by saying that, a big thank you to you. And, you know, we had our annual Caddo Gap Heritage Festival back in October of this year, back on the 4th, I believe it was, and it was a great, great turnout. I got to meet a lot of you, my viewers, that I have never met before. Some of you traveled a long distance just to come to the festival and see all the things that we offered there, all the demonstrators, the vendors, the reenactments, which are just so cool. We had, as always, we had Bonnie and Clyde who robbed the store. We had Annie Oakley doing her trick shooting out in the street, along with a host of Civil War reenactors that actually put on several battles throughout the day, some skirmishes, I should say, throughout the streets of Caddo Gap there. It was a really, really, this thing's kind of smoking. There. It was a really, really good day, so mark your calendar for next year. It's going to be on October the 3rd, Saturday, October the 3rd, a one-day event from 9 in the morning until 4 o'clock or sometime in the mid-afternoon. So come and see us in Caddo Gap, Arkansas, Paul Mack's Caddo Gap Heritage Festival. As I said, I thought I'd update you too with what's been happening in my family. Some milestones have been being crossed within my family as well. As many of you know, I have a lovely wife, Lena, and 4 daughters. Our oldest daughter, Katie Beth, married to her husband, Hank. They now have our 2 grandchildren. The oldest is Vivian, who's going to be turning 3 years old actually later this week, and her little brother Maverick, who is already 1 year old, my granddaughter and grandson. So I'm tickled to be a grandparent. I'm still trying to figure out, how to act like a grandpa. It's not too hard. It's not much of a stretch. And Katie, Beth, and Hank are excellent parents. We're just so happy and pleased with the job they're doing, disciplining the kids and raising them, and the admonition and nurture of the Lord. So Katie Beth, that's my first daughter. I want to skip my second daughter for a second. I'll come back to her. My third daughter, Bonnie Rose, is married to her husband, Cameron. And Cameron and Bonnie, within the year or so, maybe a little more than a year ago, bought about 10 acres of land, as the crow flies, not very far from where my wife and I live here. And it's completely undeveloped, just like when I started the farm here, just like when we moved here, and practically nothing was done to the land. So they moved a home in just earlier in the spring, after the ground finally dried up enough to get a home back there. And they have taken up residence there in the wild woods of southwest Arkansas. So I'm really eager to see what they're going to do with that homestead and small farm. They're into pretty much a lot of the things that you've seen me do here. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that little patch of ground. And, I'll be the consultant. I'll be there to advise them and help them and probably keep my mouth shut. I'm there to advise. So I'm eager to see what they're going to do with that beautiful piece of property. And then my fourth daughter, Ellie, and her husband, Bryce, they got married spring before last, and they actually bought a small home in a town not far from here and have done a wonderful job renovating that home and fixing it up. Bryce is so talented, and he's also a very good filmmaker, by the way. You should check out his channel, Farm Film Productions. I'll have a link in the description below. And actually, Bryce and my son-in-law Cameron did a project together, sort of a Civil War project called Rations and Rifles. And it's available for viewing on YouTube. Check that out. I've got the link below. That's a short film that you might enjoy watching. And actually, little secret here, it was filmed on this property. You'll see my dilapidated garden fence and my log chicken house, and actually my hog co-stars in it. And they shot a scene down at our little river there. So a lot of it was shot here. Some of it was shot actually on Bonnie and Cameron's property not far from here. So take a look at that short film by Bryce and Ellie. And Ellie also is currently working for a tourism firm in southwest Arkansas. And she, back earlier this year, got the opportunity to be Squidward's handler at a Comic-Con. You know about those things, superhero actors show up and sign autographs and everything. Well, Roger Bumpus, who lends his voice to Squidward of SpongeBob SquarePants, was at the comic festival, and Ellie, working there, got to be his handler and handling his merchandise and making sure he had everything he needed. So my daughter worked with Squidward. Could a father be more proud? That's Ellie, our fourth daughter. Let me go back to our second daughter, Annie Lynn, who was our final daughter to be married. She has finally flown the coop. The young fledgling has left the building, and she married a fine young man named Josiah. We're so happy to welcome him to our circle of son-in-laws. They actually bought a house, not as close as Ellie, but not too terribly far away. They fixed it up and got it jam-packed with all their stuff. Annie had a lot of things. We just packed them all up in a trailer and took them to her. Here's your stuff. So now our house is practically empty. But Annie and Josiah had their wedding just last month. It was a beautiful event. Even I got dressed up, which is kind of rare. It was a great day. All the girls looked so beautiful. The men looked handsome. My wife was as beautiful as she's ever been on that day. So it was a great day. And then on their honeymoon, they were able to fly. Can you believe this? To fly all the way down to New Zealand. Annie is the first person, I think, in my entire family tree, perhaps, to ever visit the Southern Hemisphere. I asked her to make sure to look to see which way the toilet swirled as she flushed. And according to her, it didn't twirl anyway. It just kind of went down. So I'd always heard it turned opposite than the northern hemisphere. Is that true? Just put it in the comments below. I don't know. But anyway, they got to go to New Zealand. One of the things they've always wanted to see, they're big Lord of the Rings fans, so they got to see where the Hobbit holes, where all the little holes dug in the mountains where they filmed The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. They got to visit that site, and the tour guide would show them, what scene was shot where. It was evidently a pretty neat tour. They loved it. And New Zealand is a beautiful place. She said she saw a lot of dairy cows and a lot of sheep, and it looked like they were doing a lot of intensive grazing, the Joel Salatin style of grazing down there. Anyway, she's very observant to farm things, so I'm proud of her for that. She showed me a picture of Vegemite on the grocery store shelf there when she was there, sent back the picture. And I said, hey, bring me back some of that. I'd like to try that. And Josiah said, well, I don't know if they'll let us put it in the luggage or not. And I didn't know it was a controlled substance. But evidently they tried it and it was okay. So they brought me back a small jar of Vegemite, which when they got back, Thanksgiving Day, I think we passed the jar around and let everybody smell it. And some people, tasted it. They were kind of wimpy about it, put a little bit on their tongue. I took a, big old taste of it. And I was the only one who actually liked it. I thought it was not that bad. It's different. But to tell you the truth, I buy a 250-pound drum of cow lick, which is basically molasses, and I don't know what all is in there. It's just a big tub of lick. You put it out, and the cows lick it till it's gone. And I try to keep one of those out, especially in winter when I'm only feeding hay. And, I've sampled it before. I put a little bit in my mouth of the cow lick. Hey, don't look at me like that. I know that you've tried it too, and you've tried the sweet feed, and you've eaten a little bit of layer pellets just to see what they taste like. I know you, so don't look at me like that. Actually, probably not all of you have, but I know some of you have. Anyway, I've sampled the tub lick before, and to tell you the truth, Vegemite tastes exactly like the cow lick, except the cow lick is sweet with all that molasses, and Vegemite is salty. That is the only difference. So if you ever want to know what Vegemite tastes like, or have a Vegemite sandwich with a little molasses added, just come over here and take you a spoon of my cow lick. It's not that bad. So with Annie married and out of the house, Lena and I are finally alone again. And it has been sad. Sad to see the girls go. We have so many memories. Everywhere I look around here and in the house, there's a memory of a 6 or 7 year old girl running around, or a teenager, going through teenage stuff. And it breaks my heart to think about that, because I love all of my family. But Lynn and I, on the other hand, are having the time of our life. We're laughing. We're having a good time. We're sitting on our recliners at night, relaxing, falling asleep during whatever show we watch, and we never know what happens in the middle. We wake up for the end. But we're having the time of our life. So, young husbands, I'm going to give you some unsolicited advice. Continue to make sure that your wife is your best friend in the world, because when the kids leave, she's all you're going to have again. So make sure you like her and she likes you, your best friend. I love Lena more than anybody on this earth. And it has always been, since I've known her, has always been and always will be my best friend. So I love you, Lena, and Merry Christmas to you. So on another note, within the last few years, I have really gotten into something in addition to the farming and the homestead, which I have loved and still continue to love. I've gotten back into fishing. And you've heard me talk about it some on the auction show, where I show you some of the rods and reels that I bought or refurbished or whatever, or in the process of fixing up. And I've started using a lot of those vintage rods and reels when I go fishing. And primarily, when I go fishing, I go out on the lake. I don't have a cell phone. I'm one of the last people on earth that doesn't have one. And I'll go out on the lake by myself and in my boat, and I'm an island unto myself. And I will fish just as long as I possibly can, trying to catch brim and mainly and catfish. I'm not much of a bass fisherman. Brim and catfish. Catfish is the chicken of the river. I love to eat it, and pretty much everybody in my family does too, so it gives me a purpose for being out there. But I've enjoyed attempting to catch these catfish with this vintage equipment, which is kind of a challenge, but it's a lot of fun. I grew up fishing, but when I was young, married, and we started having kids, I thought, I'll take the girls fishing. This will be great. They'll love it. And they did love it, but I spent most of my time getting hooks out of trees. And it didn't take long to realize this is not the fishing I remember. This is not fishing that seems in any way fun. And so, to my regret, I stopped fishing for a long period of time and just focused all my attention on homesteading and farming, which was not time wasted because I love that too. But just these last years, I've rediscovered fishing and just can't seem to get enough of it. So hopefully there'll be some more fishing ahead this year. I don't do a lot of it in winter because it's too cold and I don't like getting my hands cold. But come springtime, I'll be out there in my little boat again. So as far as this next year is concerned, I've got a few goals in mind. I've got several shows for the Farmhands Companion channel. I've got in mind that I'd like to do some new projects coming up, some that I've been filming real heavily this last year. As some of you know, you've seen bits and pieces of my new sawmill. A good friend and viewer was so kind to help me acquire. And I put that sawmill together earlier this spring and started sawing trees like crazy, making lumber. And one of the projects that I've been filming and working on real heavily this last year was a pole barn. And it's actually a shed. It's actually a very, very large shed built in a pole barn style. And I'm actually building it over the sawmill as I'm sawing the lumber for the shed. So I've got all the cedar poles up. I've got the gin pole hoisted and ready to lift a large beam up into place. I'm going to be doing that actually this week. I hope it goes well. But I look forward to getting that shed done and then getting the footage edited so that you can see the progress on that. It's been a fun project. I've been neglecting to do this for a number of years, but I really want to begin building a smokehouse at some point and diving into showing the old ways, the old traditional ways for preserving meat, which are not like the new ways, but we'll try to get into that hopefully as soon as possible. Maybe get that project underway, at least start filming it this next year. And then lots of other things. I've got an old wagon I need to fix up. I've got a grist mill that I need to fix up. I've got an old 8-in tractor that belonged to my dad that I really would like to see running again. Trust me, there's no shortage of things that we could do and show you on the Farmhands Companion channel. It's just a matter of doing it. There will also be more of your favorite shows coming up this year. I did a few shows of the Viewer Project show back this last year. I haven't done any of those in a while, and I hope to be doing more. A lot of you, when I sent out the call last year for viewers to send in photos of the projects that you've been building on that perhaps you were inspired to build by the Farmhands Companion channel, so many of you sent in pictures of your pole barn, your chicken house, your fences, your gates, all kinds of things. And I'm eager to show more of what you viewers have been building out there. And there'll be more my favorite farm tool shows where I take some tool and show everything that I know to show about it. There'll also be more question and answer shows where I answer questions sent in by you, the viewers, on anything farmical or homestead related. And also what I got at the auction. I enjoy doing those shows so much, mainly because I have no idea sometimes where I'm going or what I'm going to be pulling out of the trailer. As you know, I go to a lot of auctions to buy antiques that we resell in our store, and also I have a super secret location in our local flea market where I resell other things that don't quite fit in the store, maybe hand tools, yard tools, and who knows what else in there. So I'm always looking for things to resell at these auctions, and I love going to auctions. You never know what you're going to find. And so I'll buy things, stick them in the box trailer, bring them home, open up the trailer, turn the camera on, and pull things out and just talk about those things. A lot of them are farm related, and I try to center on the things that have to do with farm or homestead life. But you never know what I'm going to pull out of there. I found several jars of bear grease at one auction. I had to have it. So there'll be more auction shows coming your way this next year. I mentioned this earlier, but I want to say it again. I just want to thank all of you who have bought one or both of my books, either Building an Old-Fashioned Pole Barn or Common Trees and Their Uses for the Small Farm or Homestead. I really appreciate your order and your taking time to read those books. And also my mother's book I wanted to remind you of. It's called A Sharecropper's Daughter. And my mother this is my mother's memoirs. My mother is still living. My dad passed away last year, almost just over a year ago. My mother is still living, and I enjoyed spending 2 or 3 days with her just last week and talking to her. I heard some stories I'd never heard before that she actually didn't even put in the book here. But anyway, this is a really, really good read. And I'm not just saying that because she's my mama. I'm not. I know I'm a little prejudiced, but this would be a good read had I never even known the lady that I love so much, my own dear mother. But it reads a lot like Laura Ingalls Wilder, not the same style necessarily, but there's a lot of information in there. Her memoirs have to do with growing up in Southwest Arkansas, very, very poor, just after the Great Depression and during those early years. And, the Great Depression was a little late getting to Arkansas. Well, for one thing, everybody was already experiencing much of what the rest of the country was experiencing because folks were so poor in Arkansas. And it took a little while for everybody to realize, hey, this is worse than normal. But she talks about her life, her dad as a sharecropper. And as her mother's health is declining, their living situation is gradually getting better. And she just wove a beautiful, beautiful story. I highly recommend this book as a book to read aloud to your kids. We homeschooled our 4 daughters. I highly recommend it to all homeschoolers. But even if your kids are in public school, I suggest and I highly recommend you read books to your kids no matter where they go to school, that you, the parents, are reading them books on a consistent basis, particularly the Bible. But secondly, good books that have good morals and good lessons. And this is full of both. She talks about some of the things they did and grew and cooked to survive. A Sharecropper's Daughter, you can find it on Amazon, but the easiest way is to go to my website, farmhandscompanion.com, go down to the general store section, and you can see all my books, and you'll find how to purchase A Sharecropper's Daughter there. I highly recommend it for you. I'm going to read you actually an excerpt out of the book that she wrote actually about Christmas time. It says, "We only required a couple of days to celebrate Christmas in a mighty way. Most of Christmas Eve was spent crawling around and round Daddy's metal trunk. He started buying hard candies of all kinds in October, and by December the trunk was totally packed with the candies, apples, and oranges. We couldn't open the trunk until Christmas Eve. All we could do was crawl around it and sniff. I still expect that special scent of his trunk at Christmas time. All of us contributed homemade decorations for the tree, which was a pine or cedar we found in the woods. We grew our popcorn and strung about 12 feet of popcorn around the tree, eating more than we strung. Bob went to the woods and gathered a water bucket full of sweet gum balls that fell off the tree in late fall. We had collected aluminum foil from empty cigarette packs we found along the roadsides as we walked. The shiny foil was pressed around those gum balls. They really made our Christmas tree light up even without electricity. We didn't need pretty electric lights or store-bought presents to celebrate a day set aside to honor Jesus on his birthday. No alcohol, football games, or movies were involved. If Santa Claus was ever talked about, it must have been before I came along. I guess they got tired of that game by the 8th child. When I started to school, the teacher passed around paper sheets of a mimeographed Santa for us to color. I made his pants and shirt brown and white. The whole class laughed at me. I had never seen him, not even a picture. How did everybody else know he wore red? We surely did stuff our bellies with good food for 2 or 3 days, though. God was good then and now. So, that's an excerpt from A Sharecropper's Daughter. Get it today. Read it to your kids. You won't regret it. Now, as my little fireside chat comes to an end, I want to say once more, thank you for watching the show, for subscribing, for sending me emails. I try to read all the comments whenever possible, and I try to respond to as many as I possibly can. You're so kind in the things you say and your appreciation for the show. It really does mean a lot to me. With all that in mind, I want to leave you with a Bible verse. This is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. It says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end." And that, of course, is speaking of our Savior, Jesus Christ. So again, from my heart, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.